You can see here that it says a small size soda costs $1.25 and a large size soda costs $3.25. So we need to figure out which one is the independent and the dependent variables. And I'm going to show you a phrase that I use to figure that out. So I use this up here. Independent variable influences the dependent variable. So that's one thing I keep in mind. The independent variable always influences the dependent. Notice that the independent starts with the same prefix. So let me just highlight this. The same prefix, independent influences. And here's the other phrase that I use. The dependent variable depends on the independent variable. So again, notice that the dependent depends. So this is like the phrase I use to help me identify which one is the independent, which one is the dependent. So you can use either phrase depending on the situation. So let me show you how I use it for this example here. Looking at this problem, I can see we have two variables, and that's what you should look for. So you can see here, look, we have a small size soda and a large size soda. And then the other thing they're talking about is the cost is $1.25, cost is $3.25. So those are our two variables, the soda size and the cost. So now I'm going to look at these two phrases and see, and it doesn't matter which one I use. I'm going to use both so you can see. But this is how I'm going to be able to figure out which one is the independent and dependent. In this first setup, I asked myself, so again, the variables are the ones that I just identified. These are my variables. So I got to ask myself, which one influences the other? So I asked myself, does the small size soda influence the cost, or does the cost influence the soda? So which one, in other words, influence, another word for influence is effects. So does the size of the soda affect the cost, or does the cost affect the size of the soda? And you can see that when we went from a small size to a large size, the cost increased. So that means that the size of the soda, right, size of the soda influences the cost. So that size of the soda influences the cost. Therefore, I know this is my independent variable. And let's look at how to use this one. So now, which one depends on the other? So I'll look at the situation. Okay, does the cost of the soda depend upon the size, or does the size depend upon the cost? Well, it makes more sense to say that the cost is going to depend upon which size soda you choose. So in this case, the cost will depend on, so it depends on the size of the soda. So since this is depending on the size, this is my dependent variable right there. And then I know that I could just say, okay, the small size soda, based on the notes that I took, this one is going to be my independent variable. And then my cost is my dependent variable. And that's it.